It was Saturday. The flight landed very early in the morning. Though it was weekend, one had to go to the Jones office. The office was less crowded, so Mrs. Junior Jones' arrival wasn't the topic of gossip in the office group chat. She quickly completed her scheduled meeting with the board members. She humbly greeted the staffs across levels and departments. After stepping out of the office, one finally dialed Jungkook's number. And here comes the twist. Jungkook used to call her regularly 3 times a day to minimize disruption to her work life. But 13 long hours? He found her phone switched off and disconnected. He was worried because in the last 3 months, nothing like this had happened. But he was none other than the Jeon Jungkook. He had the power to get all her updates, and for the first time, he did. As he received the updates, he couldn't stop himself from giggling like a baby. He appreciated her efforts as he remembered it wasn't a dream when asked him if he really wanted to see her in real. Although she did not surprise him by coming in person yet, he felt very happy and satisfied with her effort, and it was his turn to make her feel special. He carefully noted where her accommodations was arranged, what her schedule was, everything, each and every single information. He requested to postpone all his meetings for that day and reschedule. He switched off his work phone without hesitation, but still he needed to complete a few things. He quickly got ready and left for the hospital. On the other side, one went to his lab to surprise him, and she was informed there that he had cancelled all his meetings for that day. She was choked by the sudden wave of urge of crying. She felt like everything was going against her plan. She checked into the hotel and started dialing his number, but unfortunately, her international number wasn't updated yet. So, Jungkook did not dare to receive call from any random unknown number as it might cause difficulties in terms of security provided to him. Though he guessed, but he wasn't allowed to receive the call. But fortunately, he knew where her hotel was. He preferred to go there directly, and after interacting with her team, he finally knocked on the door of the hotel room. As the owner of the hotel was the Jones, one wasn't worried at all about the securities. Without having a second thought, she opened the door, and the first thing she noticed as she opened the door was a tired Jungkook. First, he silently gasped seeing her after more than 3 months, and the next moment he took off his overcoat and hung on the cloth hanger. Honey, can you give me some water? So casually, he walked into the room as if they were never apart, as if nothing like that they are seeing each other after 3 consecutive months, as if they are used to such a routine with each other. Her heart ached at the moment. She thought she would surprise him and he would jump in joy seeing her, but nothing happened. As per the typical Asian rule in normal household, without asking any question, she handed him the glass of water, but he didn't initiate to hold that. Instead, he bent down to the height and sipped and drank water from the glass. At the end of a long, tiring day, no other drink can match the satisfaction of having a glass of water in your wife's hand. Thank you for quenching my 3 months' thirst just in one glass. He embraced her with love and affection. At the end of the day, the bride returns home to meet his partner, to stay to tell her stories of all day long. My days were maybe 3 months long. Thank you for ending my long, tiring 3 months long day. She burst into tears. She said in a shaky voice, Means you are happy. Seeing me, I thought you might be uncomfortable seeing me. Do you know how many times I have tried to contact you since morning, but you cut off all means of communication? I thought maybe you didn't want to meet me. Believe me, in the last few hours, I started to think of myself as an unwanted cheerleader in my own life, whose happiness are tangled with your existence. And the next moment, after vehemently voicing all her accusations, she hugged him tightly as she felt his body shivering. Resting his chin on her head, he silently whimpered for some time while caressing her hair. His gestures was enough to prove her how much he missed her. Breaking the embrace, she looked at him. Certainly, he was at his most vulnerable state. One could feel his words when he told her that he felt satisfied seeing her crying for him and also realized that he loves her more. His love was deeper, his love could heal. It was so soothing. Oh, do I really deserve all this? She uttered. Shh. He hushed her and tucked a few strands of hair behind her ears. After a few minutes, Jungkook finally broke the comfortable silence between them. So, Mrs. Joan is getting better in surprising her handsome husband. Van just chuckled in reply. Van, I think your manager deserves better treatment in this store. You should let her to live here. He put her shades on her eyes. Call her. She is also a human being, Van. Your whole team is jet lagged. Let them rest. Van wanted to argue with him badly as he was only concerned about her team. Though she knew everything, still she wanted to argue but didn't utter a single word, as she knew her team was her responsibility. At the same time, she was excited to stay with him in that place which was only virtually familiar to her. He asked her to dial her manager's number and she willingly did that. He humbly requested the manager to stay in Van's room so that they can be more comfortable and able to perform very well and be successful in the work they have come to do. Can I take my wife to my house now? Resting his forehead against her, he asked. Van nodded and took her luggage. Jungkook noticed her behavior. She was happy, yet she was not that Van. She was mentally disturbed for some reason. Van, did something happen? Did you want to vent the anger on me because I forced you to eat 3 times a day regularly for the past 3 months? He asked her this because it was the only thing he insisted on. Besides, he found no fault in his behavior which could make her angry. She shook her head in denial. No, I am not angry at all. Her answer made him frown. The clean freak cook made her seated on the couch in his living area and started observing her facial expressions. She was looking tired, definitely, but the sadness in her eyes was not tiredness. It was panic. But he didn't know what was the reason. Calming her down became more important to him than knowing the cause of her panic. He made her seated on his lap and embraced her. The first few seconds, she inhaled his natural sunlight, and the next few seconds, she started hesitating and finally whimpered, burying her face in his chest. He kept caressing her hair. What happened? I think I have cancer, she uttered. He immediately detached himself and looked at her. Did you consult Nuna? Aniya? She shook her head. Can you show me the reports, please? He raised his hand. I don't have. Van sniffed. Yobo, I am not asking you for the hard copies of the reports, just the reports. Check your email. He wanted to see her reports. I don't have any reports, but I know I have cancer, she uttered, and that made him sigh. You can share your problem with me. I am your husband and also a doc. Maybe not an oncologist, but still I can give you proper suggestions. If 1 in 3 women diagnosed with cancer, then 1 in 12 women diagnosed with breast cancer. When uttered, and that made him frown. Not long ago, I discovered a tumor in my breast, in my left one, and she felt as if the ground beneath her feet vanished. And that's cancer to you? Jungkook raised his eyebrows. As a doctor, you can console me, but Wen was trying to say something, but Jungkook stopped her. When did you do your last health checkup? I am responsible enough, Ko, and I don't think that I need to point out how do I take care of my health as no one knows it better than you. She almost whimpered and Jungkook was there. He understood what she was going through. He embraced her and started kissing her. Placing a small peck on her forehead, he whispered in her ears, I know each and every part of your body better than you. Although I haven't touched you in last 3 months. She wondered how the man could say something so romantic in such a serious situation. Don't give me that look. Don't judge me. I'm not perfect. It's right of every husband to be familiar with his wife. You are looking tired. Go take a shower first. We will talk later. He patted her on back and sent her to the washroom. And it was a moment that could come at any moment in life, and this was the moment that he never wanted to face. He panicked, probably more than when. The sensitive woman needed to understand the whole concept before taking any decision. He cursed himself as he consciously avoided thinking about this matter. Probably he was quite underprepared to explain her everything. He got up and prepared the bed and lied down on that. He was tensed, but closing her eyes when he was trying to think about how to face her, the sound of water from the running shower kept interrupting him. Although she did not even see the whole house then, but her mere presence made the house a home to him. He was happy because he would going to sleep with his favorite side pillow after 3 months. He would able to smell his favorite smell after so many months. Even in such a stressful situation, he was able to enjoy a unique peace just by closing his eyes. He opened his eyes to the sound of the washroom door opening. His wife was standing in front of him with half wet hair. It was like a dream to him. For the last 3 months, every time he saw her like this, he wanted to touch her, and every time he raised his fingers to touch her, the video call used to get disconnected. Can I please touch you? His voice was romantic, but the urge in his voice almost choked both of them emotionally, and most importantly, both of them had accepted that. She raised her hand towards Cook as he wanted to touch her, but as she was within his reach, he gently pulled her onto the bed and embraced her. He started rubbing his nose on her freshly washed neck to inhale her scent. I missed you so much. Stop, I'm still wet. My hair. Your bed can get wet. She giggled. That doesn't matter. He managed to whisper and tossed the bathrobe she had put on somewhere on the floor. I have waited 3 months. You better not mess with me. He tickled her off the mattress. For a moment, she thought he might attack her too aggressively to fulfill his desire, but in reality, nothing like that happened. He carefully started tracing every square inch of it, and with his index and middle finger, he softly pressed on the rubbery thing. Is that what you wanted to tell me? Van just hummed in reply. When did you first discover its existence? He asked. In the flight, she answered. Her reply made him sigh. I found it on our first night. You are too late. 3 months. You? She was too surprised to react. Don't stare at me with your surprised eyes. I have my reasons. Please let me clarify. He tightened the embrace. The thing is, it's your body, and you were too careless to take care of yourself. Everyone follows their instincts except you, so I was hopeless from your side. At the same time, I was worried for you. I know you have decided to get Botox, and it was courageous enough, but that made your feminine being completely shattered. You were still trying your best, your hardest to recover, and if I had informed you that, I don't know how would have you reacted. But I felt guilty randomly, sometimes on the middle of the night, sometimes while walking down the street, countless times. What if it's cancer? I have discussed with many veteran doctors, not with the commercially successful and talented ones, and they assured me most of the time in a positive way. He pecked on her forehead. Kum, I really don't have too much strength. I don't know what this is, cancer or not, but it's bothering me. I feel like I fall asleep and think it's a nightmare. She crawled more into his embrace. Please save me from this situation. So the term we use is fibroadenoma. Fibroadenoma is a common type of benign or non-cancerous lump that can develop in the breast. Jungkook finally started the conversation. Larger fibroadenomas may feel like a hard or rubbery marble that moves around under the skin. Commonly, a person with a fibroadenoma is unlikely to experience any symptoms other than the palpable lump itself. A fibroadenoma is highly unlikely to lead to cancer and rarely causes any complications. The average risk of cancer conversion is generally less than 2%. Simple fibroadenomas look the same all over when it is examined under a microscope. Complex fibroadenomas are usually larger and have different features. Why does it happen? When asked him. To be honest, the exact reason what causes fibroadenomas is quite unknown, but it is considered that estrogen sensitivity may play a role. Breasts, mainly comprised with lobules which are milk-producing glands, ducts which carry milk to the glandular, fatty and fibrous tissues. Fibroadenomas develop from a lobule. Ducts and glandular tissues grow over it, forming a solid lump. Fibroadenomas are not usually painful or tender to touch. Other than the lump, most of the time, no symptoms are detected. Fibroadenomas may feel tender before the starting of menstrual cycle. It may also change its shape during pregnancy, when breastfeeding or chest feeding, or while taking hormone replacement therapy, and tends to return to its previous size after hormone fluctuations. Then, how to confirm a fibroadenoma? She asked. To diagnose fibroadenoma, first clinical examination is required and then ultrasound. Jungkook answered. If an ultrasound shows atypical features, then the patient will be suggested a needle test or biopsy, otherwise, nothing else. So it is harmless. When asked in disbelief, look, it causes a lot of anxiety in patient. Not only that, sometimes this lump can really increase in size and that can distort the shape of breast as well. Usually the lump is painless, but sometimes before starting a menstrual cycle, it can complain of pain. Otherwise, it just moves around. He answered. So you are saying it is harmless. So do fibroadenomas really not require surgery? She asked, and Jungkook nodded his head. It doesn't require any form of treatment and can be safely left alone, especially if these are not causing any discomfort or affecting the breast health. Are there any medications for fibroadenoma? She asked. No, and once these lesions form, it will persist in the breast. It don't dissolve on its own, though it is suggested to continue practicing regular breast exam. He casually replied. If fibroadenoma is benign, then the tendency of breast cancer depends on what? She asked. The tendency of breast cancer depends on overall risk factors for breast cancer like family history, medical history, lifestyle choice, etc. He replied. What if it causes discomfort? I mean, I heard about breast surgeries, so when a patient is told to go for a breast surgery, she asked. For the patients who have fibroadenomas, there are certain indications like if the size increases gradually and become a giant one, then it would automatically turn into a cosmetic problem. Sometimes it becomes very painful for some patients, and most importantly, the family history of breast cancer, which automatically increase the risk of cancer in the patient automatically. He honestly answered. If you want to know about the surgical options, then first comes the traditional surgery when the surgeon would make a small cut to remove the lump and suture the incision. It's a daycare procedure means the patient doesn't need to stay in the hospital. Jungkook elaborated. So it generally leaves a scar on the feminine part. She sighed. Cool. What if I had a scar on my breast? Would it bother you? Jungkook chuckled. I have a visual scar mark on my cheek. Does it bother you? So, as a husband, I might get concerned about your overall health condition, but the scar thing? Nah. But I guess you are right. For many women or most of the patients, it may bother them, and the solution is VAB. VAB stands for vacuum assisted breast surgery, where with a special device called probe, which goes inside through a 2 millimeter cut and cuts the fibroadenoma from inside. In classic technique, we take the whole thing out entirely, and in a fab, we cut it into stripes and take that out. We monitor everything through ultrasound, which makes possible to remove the fibroadenoma totally. It is also a daycare procedure under general anesthesia. General anesthesia? She sighed, and Jungkook understood the whole thing. You mean what if, and so local anesthesia, right? So, in recent years, the treatment of fibroadenomas has transitioned from open surgical excision to more minimally invasive techniques that includes radiofrequency and laser ablation, sequential piecemeal excision using automated vacuum assisted biopsy devices, and crablation. Since I don't have any symptoms, I don't need a doctor's checkup, she said happily. I know, baby, you're jet lagged. You can rest as long as you can, but checkup and monitoring is necessary. Jungkook pinched on her nose. Yeah, because I'm a wife of a doctor. She chuckled. Actually, some fibroadenomas grow rapidly, so it's important to monitor these things. He wrapped his arms around her waistline tighter. What if removal of fibroadenoma causes more to appear? She asked. It's possible that one patient can have more than one fibroadenoma in one breast or in both breasts, but the removal of fibroadenoma doesn't cause more fibroadenomas to appear. Jungkook yawned as he was tired. Did I disturb you? When asked. When? Why? Jungkook was too tired, so he closed his eyes. Am I careless to you? When asked him. Yeah, you are careless. That's a fact. He sighed before placing a peck on her forehead. And I can't explain you how much I missed your carelessness. Thank you for coming here and in my life.